Ex-military leader Napoleon Bonaparte once said, "Ability is nothing without opportunity." Welcome to the Art Express, the window to express art in its ownness. I'm Tolulope Lamidi, your host. First on Gallery, we bring you an exhibition titled All the Leaves Are on the Ground, a solo exhibition by Uche Edoche at the Art Pantheon Gallery, Lagos, curated by Nana Shenoit. Let's take a look.
Well, this is my seventh solo exhibition. I've been an exhibiting artist for over 30 years. Actually, 30 years. I started showing in 95. This is 2025, so yeah, 20 years, 30 years exactly. And I've been a painter for the most part, even though I've experimented with a variety of things because it helps to occasionally go in and out of things to help enrich the creative experience. So I've been doing this for 30 years, and this particular exhibition, All the Leaves on the Ground, is about man's evolution from birth till death, however long you're going to live, and lessons learned in between. So it's about, you can say it's a how-to guide on living, right? So that's what it's about. Primarily, if you look at my works, you can see that I paint a lot of women. I'm a figurative artist. I paint African women. Now, I wish I could say these are particularly African stories. But one thing about life and the way we experience the world now, because of globalization and information technology and the internet and all of that, the world is actually a much smaller place now. So very often what we used to think was a uniquely American experience or a uniquely African experience is just generally speaking the human experience. Okay? For instance now, what is it that you can talk about that happens here that doesn't happen over there? Whether it's about politicians and the way they rule, or the economy, or struggle, or happiness, or people having kids, or having dreams, or going to work, or going to school. These same things that happen here happen everywhere else. Also, generally speaking, what we would ordinarily consider the African experience is essentially the human experience because it's not that unique to us anymore. I mean, there are still a few differences like language, food, subtle mannerisms that differentiate us from people, other races from other parts of the world. But if you're talking about the general human experience, it's pretty much the same thing.
Through a poetic interplay of nature and figurative art, this body of work becomes more than a visual journey. It becomes a mirror to our innermost longings. Using the metaphor of nature, its fragility, growth, decay, and renewal, these works gently trace the arc of human potential from the barest beginnings of life to the fullness of self-discovery and accomplishment. The narrative woven here reminds us that growth is not linear and that even the withered shrub has the potential to bloom, if only we remain aware, intentional, and curious. Edoche's All the Leaves Are on the Ground invite us to pause, reflect, and recognize that perhaps the journey itself, rooted in awareness and nurtured by discipline, is the most meaningful pursuit.
All the Leaves on the Ground is a metaphorical exhibition that is touching on the meaning of finding purpose. It's touching on how the human are so disconnected with how nature works and how it's trying to bridge the gap between these two. You find a lot of works embedding a lot of flowers in nature or landscape, and this is touching on how growth takes progress, it takes time, and how evolution takes place over time, and being able to understand that a tree that will eventually serve as a shade takes time for it to develop to that, but up until the time it spreads its entire branches, it's going to keep growing. And same thing, connecting it back to human nature and how we as human, we constantly are in pursuit of our purpose, meaning and understanding in life, and being able to bring this body of work to be able to have conversation around how humans are searching for meaning, searching for purpose. It's so brilliant to see, particularly because he has been working on this body of work for the last 3 years, and being able to see this body of work in a way that touch cuts across not just human but women also, and also nature and even animals. I think it's so interesting to see.
Over the years, I've seen the sort of things he's done, and not just because he's my brother, but one of the greatest artists, in all honesty, that this country has produced. And I've followed his progress, in the field of exhibitions and all that. And each time he comes out with something, it's a bold statement. And for this, I'm not surprised because this is his 30 years in the business, started exhibiting as far back as when he was in school, then solo exhibitions, from the age of 20. He's really done quite a lot. And the interesting thing is, every artwork you see here on display relates with every aspect of human life. So it's easy for the viewing audience to find their stories in each work of art. For the artists, keep doing what you're doing. Like art is life. Life is art. You cannot separate it. And the artist is like an activist in his own way, a social commentator, who reflects on different aspects of life, and of course is like a tool for reminding people of the reality of the times. It's not a very easy thing. The average artist, that's what the person does at every point in time. You will have someone who also tells people the stories of where we are, where we've come, where we're going. So it's a good thing that he's doing what he's doing, and I strongly believe that over time, maybe more Nigerians can get the picture, and follow the journey.
Welcome back. Also on gallery now, Coronation Art Gallery is delighted to present its first art gallery exhibition of the year, featuring two art patrons, Akim Adedeji and Ngozi Edozian, a celebration of expertly curated artwork from their private collections. Let's go there.
In my figure painting, I use them as documentary of events around me, activities that take place around me and that people just pass by without actually taking notes of them. And for documentation's sake, I record them so that in future, when such things no longer exist, the paintings exist for people to know that once in a while such things were happening. And this one right here, was done some years ago, and I'm sure if I go back or we go back to that particular place now, the place would probably have changed. And that is part of the documentation aspect of it.
I think the story behind it is captivating in the sense that it demonstrates the partnership between collector and artists. It's a story that spans so many decades about the collection of both Ngozi, who's a co-exhibitor, and I, and not necessarily together but separately. And it's a story of collaboration between both ourselves and the artists and how we support the art. Our patronage work, our support work, to ensure that the art ecosystem continues to bloom in effect. And it's also a curatorial, it's curatorially challenging. It is because what Bloom has done is to find people like us who are into art, who are supportive of artists, and who can actually spend our resources, not just money, but our resources in terms of time, mentoring the artists and helping them to grow.
Themed custodians of legacy, collecting with purpose, the exhibition spotlights the private collections of two distinguished collectors, Mr. Hakeem Adedeji and Mrs. Ngozi Edoziem, whose works reflect a deep commitment to cultural preservation, storytelling, and legacy. Curated by Ugoma Adegoke, through this exhibition, Coronation reaffirms its commitment to showcasing how collecting can be both a personal journey and a platform for impact. The event featured immersive storytelling, guided tours, and opportunities for guests to connect meaningfully around shared values.
So you see a lot of, Samuel's work, yes, and also Ebenezer Ajibala. You see that over the years, these collectors have kept on going back to the same artists. So you see some of the works that were collected in 2008, and then you see the artist's evolution, in his style by 2020, 2025, and that journey has only been made possible. That journey of growth and evolution has only been made possible because you have the collectors who have continued to, buy the art, showcase the art, and of course the galleries as well, who have been gracious enough to exhibit, the art.
Collecting art, or at least I would say appreciating art, is something I've done ever since I was a very young girl. And I was privileged enough to grow up in a home with parents who appreciated the arts. And so we learned as young people to live with art and to bring art into our home. So when you say that I'm a collector, I don't know. I call myself an appreciator of things aesthetic and things beautiful. This is a fascinating work. This work was done by an amazing artist called Gerald Chukuma. And the name of the work is The Last Supper. And what I find amazing about it is not only is it a spiritual work, but it's a work that he's used everyday materials to create. And it looks like stained glass, but in fact, it's wood, it's pieces of metal, it's pieces of things that you have in your home every day, because they are cans, they're Coke cans, they are Guinness cans, they are different colors that are coming from the metal works. And so it's been very, very carefully done with metal, with wood, with acrylic paint. And just the imagery, I think, is absolutely stunning.
Children's Day is a thing that our parents can allow us to do. And again, culture is a way of life actually. And culture give us many moral value, give us a good behavior, give us a knowledge and our understanding. So culture, and to enlighten our parents, to enlighten them to free the children to do culturally. Children's Day is for like children, adults, not for our mothers. It's for children.
My name is Oluwakemi Fanimoku. I'm the director of Nigerian Children Cultural Heritage, where we promote Nigerian languages and indigenous values. We have different schools here, about 20 different schools from Lagos State and in the environs, and we have some guests here too as well. At Nigerian Children Cultural Heritage, we encourage children to speak our indigenous languages. So we have different competitions in dance, drama, poetry, and other quiz competition. That's what they are doing right now. Culture is what shaping a people, their traditions, their beliefs, their values, their dressing, their food, and everything about a particular set of people.
What is happening here is Children's Day, and it is based on cultural activities. To me, like, culture is a way of life for people. I think without culture, people can't exist. English is not a problem, but it's just that in a way or one or two ways of others, like, we need to improvise on our culture and also to make sure that our culture is highly benefited from outside of the world.
The Nigerian Children Cultural Heritage (NCCH) organized a celebration to commemorate Children's Day and Lagos State's 58th anniversary. This event aims to promote cultural awareness, creativity, and joy among children, while also honoring and showcasing the best of Lagos State's culture and heritage.
This our culture is actually going into extinction, and I believe that the only way we can bring the culture back to life is by participating in cultural activities and making sure that we enlighten our children more about culture and other cultural related stuff. Our official language is always English, but I understand, even though we are always teaching or communicating with our children with English, we can as well make use of our native language. There is nothing bad than talking to them, like speaking to them with our native language inside. Probably Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, and other native. So, and the only way I feel that we can promote our cultural heritage is by, like, parents making sure that their children are well versed about cultural activities, making sure that we take them home, take them home back to our native land, in order for them to know many things about your history and where you come from and the likes.
I'm happy to be a parent for this Children's Day, especially for the cultural NCCH school. Since one of my children joined, I'm seeing the attributes on them, the character, the artists, even terms of our culture, greeting, how they are doing their greeting elderly, people around it, how to talk our culture, like even dressing. You can. If I have a little children, cannot dress anyhow. My mommy go and dress buba and chokoto for me. I love it.
I'm Prince Dosumadiwale Oladimeji Muiz. I'm the Vice Chairman of Surulere Local Government. I equally doubled as the supervisor in charge of education. It's a fusion of celebration, it's a fusion of love, it's a fusion of mutual coexistence. Today, Nigerian Children Heritage Foundation, FANICE, has always been there, improving on the welfare of children, improving on their education. And Surulere Local Government is very, very glad to be associated with her. Despite all things, we still believe what she's doing, promoting culture, promoting love among the children, letting them know their background, the culture, the history of where they come from is a laudable project which I'm proud to be associated with.
Yes, Bola Adeomi, Mrs. representing the Managing Director of Loma, in person of Dr. Muyiwa Gbadegeshi. Loma is very, very privileged and glad to associate with children. Knowing fully well that when within the time that we celebrate the children, our children are definitely our heritage. Our children are our heritage, they are our future, and that is why Loma aligns with Mr. Governor's theme for this year, which is sustainability. And what sustainability means is thinking about the future, making things right for the future, and the future are the children. Our children are our future. So celebrating them definitely for Loma is an epitome to indicate that definitely our children are very, very germane to us, and the environment is very key. Managing the environment, keeping the environment clean is very germane for our future, which is our children. So celebrating them at Lagos at 58 is not a coincidence, but definitely a reality, and also an important venture that we are doing today.
Breaking out of our comfort routines takes time and energy and efforts. Change can be scary, but since life as we know is short, then shouldn't we be looking forward to new possibilities every single day to live our best lives? Now, don't you forget to create a masterpiece today. I am Tolokwe Langu signing out.